Hi. It's pretty late at night, not absurdly late, but it's way past my bedtime. Not really, but it sounded pretty good. Recently, I was going back and reading some of my Fitzgerald pieces, and if you know me pretty well, my favorite author of all time is F. Scott Fitzgerald. And recently I was going back and reading The Beautiful and Damned, which isn't one of my favorite pieces. It's not a bad piece by any standards, it's wonderfully written, but it's just not my personal cup of tea when it comes to books and literature. I'm very cliche when it comes to Fitzgerald's pieces because my personal favorite is The Great Gatsby, which I think is everyone's favorite by Fitzgerald. It was my introduction to his work, but from there I just really enjoyed all of his pieces. Coming in a close second is This Side of Paradise, which I also find really eloquent. Speaking of eloquent, I was going back and reading The Beautiful and Damned because I realized I hadn't read it in quite a while. And you can't see it because it's dark and I've just got my fairy lights on and I've kind of cropped out my face. But the first chapter begins with a 2-paragraph introduction to the character Anthony Patch. And as I was going back and reading, it really struck me as being very... I don't know the word. I know the word. Elegant is kind of what's coming to mind, but it's just so beautifully written and thoughtfully written. His precise language really gives you a picture of Anthony and you can relate to the character being introduced. So I thought I would read those first 2 paragraphs to you. I've been told before that people really enjoy when I read things, I guess just because how I enunciate and pronounce certain words. So yeah, let me just open up the book. Oh, I turned to the right page on the first try. Okay. Chapter 1. Anthony Patch. In 1913, when Anthony Patch was 25, 2 years were already gone since irony, the holy ghost of this later day, had, theoretically at least, descended upon him. Irony was the final polish of the shoe, the ultimate dab of the clothes brush, a sort of intellectual there. Yet, at the brink of this story, he has as yet gone no further than the conscious stage. As you first see him, he wonders frequently whether he is not without honor and slightly mad, a shameful and obscene thinness glistening on the surface of the world like oil on a clean pond. These occasions being varied, of course, with those in which he thinks himself rather an exceptional young man, thoroughly sophisticated, well adjusted to his environment, and somewhat more significant than anyone else he knows. This was his healthy state, and it made him cheerful, pleasant, and very attractive to intelligent men and to all women. In this state, he considered that he would one day accomplish some quiet, subtle thing that the elect would deem worthy, and, passing on, would join the dimmer stars in a nebulous, indeterminate heaven halfway between death and immortality. Until the time came for this effort, he would be Anthony Patch, not a portrait of a man, but a distinct and dynamic personality, opinionated, contemptuous, functioning from within outward, a man who was aware that there could be no honor and yet had honor, who knew the sophistry of courage and yet was brave. And then the chapter goes into a worthy man and his gifted son, in which the book really starts to take off. Each chapter is separated into little bits by different titles, and there's like 5 or 6 paragraphs per section. This one's called Past and Person of the Hero, and then it moves on to the approachless apartment. And the book continues in this fashion. And it's really a unique way of writing a book. I think I've only seen it once more, but for the life of me, I can't remember the author. But that pretty much concludes this video. I thought you guys would enjoy a reading of Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is always really fun to read. But yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely night. And remember to stay beautiful.